So I'm in Little Rock, Arkansas, and this is the most dangerous city in Arkansas, which Arkansas is the third most dangerous city, or Arkansas is the third most dangerous state in the United States. This city has a population of 203,000, and it's been rising ever since the 1800s. So basically, since the city was established, the population has been increasing that whole time. It's slowed down, the growth has slowed though since 2020, but most cities that are bigger like this, their population declined, and here it's still growing. It's just not growing at the same rate it was before. It's 42% white, 42% black, 8% Hispanic, and 3% Asian. So fairly diverse city. The average age here is 36.6, which is a little on the young side. 20% of the population are seniors, which is about normal for a city like this. It's 53% female and 47% male. So I don't know why that there's some of these cities have a larger female population than male population, but it often is like that in some of these more dangerous cities. There's far more females than there are males. If anybody watching knows why that would be, if they could leave it in the comments, that would be great. The average earnings here are $46,000, which is actually pretty high for a city like this. And there's a 16.5% poverty rate, which is actually kind of low actually for a city like this. It also has a 54% home ownership rate, which is really high. So there's more people here that live here that own their own home than there are renters. And this is the downtown area, and we're gonna kind of just stick to the downtown and just check the downtown out a little bit. I don't have a whole ton of time here, or we'd go out into the housing areas and see what that is like. But we'll check this downtown out and see. So far there's some graffiti. You can see graffiti. There's a little bit of litter, not a whole lot yet. There was one guy that looked like he was homeless, but there hasn't been like a homeless encampment or anything that we've seen so far pulling in through here. 2022, they had a record of 81 homicides. 2023, they had 63. And their 10-year average for murders is around 50. So that's actually pretty good. I mean, it's only a population of 203,000, so that number's actually still pretty high, but it's pretty good for a city like this. The 63 in 2023 is nearly double the number of homicides they had every year prior to 2015. So the 2020 did a number on this city just like it did with a lot of cities. We'll go up here. These buildings actually aren't too bad. They're not even all run down and stuff like you'd see in a lot of cities. And it's actually really clean. The violent crime here is 396% worse than the national average, which is really high. The murder rate was 40 in 2022, and in 2023 it was 31.5. So both of those numbers, it obviously got better in 2023 over 2022, but both of those numbers are really high. So far nothing jumps out as being bad. Some of this actually looks kind of cute. The assault rate here is actually really high too. It was in the 1500s pre-2020, which is super high. Detroit is in the 1600s, and that's per 100,000 people. So having an assault rate that is the same as Detroit is not something for a city to brag about by any means. So their murder rate is higher, is not in the uppermost of the high ones, but it's in that upper range. The murder rate and the assault rate is up there with some of the worst cities in America. But the downtown anyway is pretty clean, and it's kind of nice. Your odds of becoming a victim of a crime here is 1 in 14. Of a violent crime, it's 1 in 55. I'll go with that one. And the year-over-year crime here, they're showing a decrease of 3%. That was from 22 to 23. And that's just the murders went down a little bit. 2023 was a much better year for crime here. And when you get to the test scores, 36% of the kids graduate proficient at reading and math. The state of Arkansas, it's 45%, and the U.S. average is 48%. So Arkansas as a state is worse than the national average, and Little Rock is much worse than the national average. And 86% of the people that live here graduated high school. That might sound like a low number, but that's fairly typical for cities like this, that it's around 86%. The cost of living here is actually 14% higher than the Arkansas average, but it's 2% lower than the national average. So of the cities in Arkansas, it's one of the more expensive ones, even though it's also the most dangerous. And housing here is actually 7% lower, which probably is why there's a higher rate of home ownership. We're just going to go up and down a few more blocks here and then see if we see anything. But the cities actually, they must keep the downtown pretty clean, because this is really clean. There was some garbage. There was some minor graffiti. The roads are as good as any, the roads aren't great by any means, but they're as good as any that are in America, because most of the cities, the roads are horrible. And there was just the one guy that I saw that looked like he may have been homeless. So for the most part, and this is a Saturday at, 1 o'clock in the afternoon. For the most part, if you were to just come to this downtown, well, all that is boarded up. A lot of this is boarded up here. That's for lease, the one on the corner. But if you were to come down here and you were to look at this city, you wouldn't think it had high crime, because all of the things you look for to see how bad a city is, you're not seeing them here. There wasn't even getting into the city from the freeway. I didn't see graffiti everywhere, unless I happened to come in the one area that there wasn't any. A lot of cities, you go up to cities like Baltimore, there's graffiti everywhere trying to get in there. Minneapolis, graffiti everywhere. But coming in here, and this is more dangerous, not than Baltimore. Well, actually, the assault rate here is much higher than Baltimore. So this is actually technically a more dangerous city than Baltimore, but it looks cleaner. It's technically way more dangerous than Minneapolis, and it's much cleaner than Minneapolis too. So there must be just pockets when you get out of the city where the crime is really bad, and it's just not, the downtown looks nice and they're taking care of the downtown. There's a little bit of this stuff, looks like it's all boarded up. So that's about it for what I'm going to cover on Little Rock. Got all the stats in. The downtown is actually really nice. It's not a safe city, but if you're going into the downtown, it looks clean, and you wouldn't know by driving through it that it's as bad. Oh, that looks like a homeless guy up the road here. I don't know if I can catch him on the camera, but there's a homeless guy walking across the street right there. So maybe it's possible I just happened to miss the parts that were the bad parts. We'll get a nice shot of this bridge, though. That's really cool looking. Well, that's it for Little Rock, Arkansas. Thanks for watching.